The Eras of Feylune. Written and retold by Edgar Falstar. Chapter 1, The Ancient Fey Age, 345 to 200. Lasting 145 years. Around 345 years ago, Feylune was founded by ancient Feyfolk. These humanoid Fey creatures fled the other kingdom, where they were only mocked and ridiculed, and swam through the ocean. They found refuge on an uninhabited nearby island which they later named Feylune. Safe and far away from war, disease, and hatred, these Fey quickly started their own civilization with the help of their nature-based magics and their beloved deities. A peaceful elder Fey man named Extosi, who helped many cross the oceans to get to Feylune, was unanimously elected amongst first settlers to rule over the new kingdom. The people quickly set up 4 main villages throughout the kingdom. Cells in the northern mountains, Roseport to the southern seas, Siren Scale in the middle by the harbour, and Clearspire in the heart of Feylune. Extosi and his most loyal followers ruled from Clearspire in the wooded marshes, and they built a thriving capital city that lived above the swamps below. During these early days of Feylune, there was little strife amongst citizens. Extosi ruled a peaceful and agreeable government and was very well liked across the kingdom. Villages would trade with each other frequently and often host gathering events to stay unified throughout the villages. Cells quickly became a hub for trading as well as a place to sell goods after a long journey. Roseport aroused to a fast-moving seaside town and a thriving harbour for many wishing to visit the other kingdom. Siren Scale was now a magical place that often served as a resting point for adventurers. And Clearspire became a lively capital city beloved by all residents of Feylune. Before the turn of the era, there had been talks of a discovery of a secret Fey magic in the capital city, Clearspire. Ancient texts refer to it as Arcu energy, but no one these days has ever been able to recover any proof of its true existence. In later years, these villages would become bustling towns and new smaller villages started popping up. Crofia, home to many mystical non-Fey folk. Fair Frost in the frozen hearth. Bone Glen out to the far west in the harsher deserts of the kingdom. White Wolf hidden away in the vales of snow. And Juno, a spirited town that prospered year after year. While there were some elves and dwarven creatures that chose to leave the other kingdom and seek refuge in Feylune, especially in Crofia, most inhabitants during the ancient eras were Fey. But these Fey people accepted any and all who came to their kingdom, which is why they didn't blink an eye when the bronze dragons flew in. Chapter 2, The Dawn of the Bronze Dragons. 200 to 160. Lasting 40 years. Around 145 years after the first settlement of Feylune, at the year 200 began the era called the Dawn of the Bronze Dragons. It is unclear exactly why these dragons flew to Feylune in the first place, but nonetheless, the people of Feylune allowed these dragons into their kingdom without much worry. In the beginning, a bronze dragon named Lothtor flew in with his wife Arveria and son, Zunakai, both bronze dragons as well. Lothtor came to Cells claiming he was seeking refuge from the other kingdom with his family, just like many before him. All was well as Lothtor settled down just outside of Cells with his dragon family and lived peacefully among the Fey for some time. Little is known of the following exchanges between Extosi the elder ruler of Feylune and Lothtor the great bronze dragon, but suddenly there was a war between the two parties. There were only a few battles before it was clear that Extosi and the Fey people could not defeat the army brought in by a group of bronze dragons who had Zithamo, a dragon god, on their side. Extosi surrenders peacefully, laying down his weapons instead of fighting to the death. He is then killed by Lothtor himself as both armies view from either side of the battlefield. Lothtor and his wife, Arveria, and son Sunakai, moved the new ruling government over to Cells, a city in the mountains that much more suited their dragon habits. Lothtor now ruled over the kingdom and quickly banned the use of magic and even started to turn some of the Fey citizens into slaves for the new dragon rulers. The Fey people did not resist the Bronze Dragon's rule because it was now clear that resisting them would lead to certain death. But the magic ban didn't stop the Fey, who most commonly were nature-based magic users. While magic became outlawed, this only seemed to strengthen the arcana when it was used. The Fey people trained their powers to grow even stronger. In time, the Fey people seemed to accept their fate, but this was not the case. Chapter 3: The Great Fey Rebellion, 160 to 120, lasting 20 years. Around 40 years after the start of the dawn of the Bronze Dragon era, and the beginning of the Bronze Dragon rule, the Fey had had enough. And thus began the Great Fey Rebellion. With newfound strength harnessed from the magic ban, Fey of the time decided to take action against the oppressive new dragon government. Ronas, a veteran Fey fighter, is voted as their leader, and quickly, the Fey gather their army and go to Cells to overthrow the Dragon King, Lothtor. They brutally murder his court, including Lothtor himself, Arveria his wife, and who they say is Zunakai his son. Any followers left of Lothtor bow to Ronas and his army as the Fey then start to rebuild their throne. Many wonder if these Fey had outside help during these times, as they face bronze dragons without the help of magic because of Lothtor's magic ban. Ronas insisted that the Fey had claimed back their home on their own, not with the help of any god. But that doesn't mean they didn't have any outside help. Feylune now consisted of many kinds of people, and while all were welcome, there was clearly a general distaste for dragons and dragon-like creatures like Dragonborn. But Feylune once again was prospering. They slowly rebuilt the original capital Clearspire, as it was destroyed by bronze dragons, and new villages started to pop up at the end of the era. Like Mythmire in the south, Oxblood off to the Golden Isle, Luna's hidden away in obscurity, a moon shadow, made famous for their fine wine. Chapter 4: The Era of Elder Dragons, 120 to present times, currently 120 years. After only around 20 years of Fey leadership, a group of elder dragons from the other kingdom fly into Feylune on a sweltering summer night. Knowing their fate, the Fey, led by rebellion leader Ronas himself, defend their kingdom to the very early hours of morning anyway. During the night, many flashes of energy not commonly used by dragons were seen on the battlefields. But as the sun rose over the whistling mountains, Feylune was now back in the hands of dragons. But no ordinary bronze dragons this time. This time it was elder dragons who wanted Feylune for their own, and try as they might, the Fey just couldn't seem to ever overthrow the elder dragons. So eventually, there came acceptance. Also, unlike the bronze dragons, the elder dragons seemed to govern much more fairly, especially in time. No bans, no slavery, maybe some unfair laws, but nothing that couldn't be solved through conversations. However, this isn't the end of the story just yet. The bronze dragon that Ronas, the veteran fighter of the Fey Rebellion, claimed to have murdered along with the rest of his family, is actually still alive. Zunakai, son of bronze dragon Lothtor, had now come out of hiding, now risen to the power of elder dragon himself. Zunakai flew right into Cells and laid his claim to the throne. With little resistance, the elder dragons accepted and allowed Zunakai to rule over Feylune as the rightful king of Feylune. Many Fey might argue that dragons had no rightful place in the kingdom as rulers to begin with, but that idea was always quickly shot down. But Zunakai is not his father, Lothtor. Under Zunakai's rule, he appoints the Lords of the Fey to rebuild the lost relationships with Fey of the past. During this time, Zunakai also appointed his consultant, Pirax, a half-Fey Dragonborn. Beloved, Pirax is commonly viewed as the embodiment of the new era, half dragon and half fae. These graceful gestures are approved by many in the kingdom, and after hundreds of years, all is once again at peace in Feylune, and Unakai has been ruling over Feylune rather peacefully for around 120 years. The Eras of Feylune. Written and retold by Edgar Falstar.